Breaking Bad took the world by storm when it first premiered, and any TV aficionado knows that a well-crafted story requires a well-crafted conflict. Walter White was of course at one end of said conflict, but at the other end of the conflict, a man who just like Walter would go on to live in TV infamy. Tuco Salamanca. He was a short-lived character, but packed one hell of a punch during his stay. But why didn't he stay longer, and why did the writers kill off Tuco way earlier than they had initially planned? This is why Tuco Salamanca was written out of Breaking Bad. Tuco's character was intense, to say the least. To cut a long story short, Tuco is pretty messed up. He displays traits of both psychopathy and sociopathy. This was displayed when he ruthlessly beat one of his closest companions, Nodoz, to death. He did this over a comment that Nodoz made. A comment that was actually defending Tuco's honour. If he did that to one of his closest men, just imagine what he'd do to somebody he perceives as an enemy. For a show like Breaking Bad, the performances that the actors are tasked to convey are meant to be incredibly grounded and realistic. This is done in order to make the story feel more believable as a whole. Whether you're an employee at Los Pollos Hermanos or a crazed drug lord, these performances had to be believable. It goes without saying that for the first season of the show, Tuco Salamanca served as the primary antagonist. He also served as the first window into the dark and twisted methamphetamine business. Vince Gilligan, writer and creator of the show, had to ensure that Tuco's character gave a strong performance that would leave the audience wanting more. Having only seen the tip of the Breaking Bad iceberg in Season 1, Tuco's character acted as a vehicle to entice audiences to want to watch more. I think personally that if a lousy and unrealistic performance was given, the audience wouldn't have had much interest in seeing more of that side of the Breaking Bad world. Point is, I believe that a lot of pressure rode on Tuco, and perfecting his character was of paramount importance of Breaking Bad's initial success. To play a character like Tuco, it's a gigantic task. It's not like any other job on the planet. It's one thing playing a character with emotional depth, but it's another thing playing a character who is constantly hopped up on God knows what kind of drugs. It's your job as an actor to become the role that you have. It means that you have to fully embrace the identity and intensity that comes with the character. While some actors adopt method acting, some just keep it on the production set. The thing is though, sometimes these roles are so intense that you find yourself not being able to leave it on the production set. In the history of film and TV, many prestigious actors have gone on record saying that they have struggled to play certain roles due to the great emotional and sometimes physical distress that can come with it. More often than not, these actors are referring to roles in which the character displays sociopathic and psychopathic tendencies, or is around a character like that. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho saw Hollywood star Janet Leigh struggle with the intensity of the story. When it came to roles, both Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix struggled playing the Joker, one of media's most infamous roles, due to the intensity of the character. I'm personally a huge fan of Criminal Minds, and Mandy Patinkin's character Jason Gideon was also written out of the show due to the actor struggling with week after week of psychopaths, sociopaths, and dark storylines. So, when it comes to Tuco, combine that role with the backdrop of the dark methamphetamine underworld in New Mexico, and yeah, you've got yourself one of those roles and stories that those actors were referring to. The man who brought the role of Tuco to life was Raymond Cruz. Playing Tuco had a very personal connection to him due to his upbringing. For his audition for the show, Cruz impressed the producers by drawing inspiration from his own experiences. Growing up in East Los Angeles, California, Cruz regularly witnessed violence and gang activity. He was also surrounded by people who were under the influence of various illicit drugs. It's safe to say that this role hit home for him, and it hit home hard. After one season of playing Tuco, Raymond Cruz was done. He approached Vince Gilligan and the other writers of Breaking Bad and asked for his character to be killed off. This was due to the intense toll that Tuco was taking on his mental well-being. Raymond Cruz even went on record saying that his own wife hated him playing Tuco. In an interview with Rotten Tomatoes in 2015, Cruz publicly spoke about his departure from the role for the first time ever. "My wife hated it. She hated Tuco. My wife is like, get away from me." Just take a second to imagine that, folks. Going to work, you come home at the end of the day, and the person closest to you doesn't even want you anywhere near them. I can certainly understand why he wanted out of this role. Having said that, I also see Raymond Cruz's performance as Tuco as one of the most memorable in television history, and also one of the tightest. Tight, yeah! You might not know this, but Tuco was actually meant to be in the entirety of Season 2 of Breaking Bad. The writers agreed to Cruz's request, and Tuco Salamanca was killed off in the second episode of the second season. Usually, when writers are forced to kill off or remove characters due to actor requests, it can quite often be the catalyst that tanks the show in ratings and popularity. But Breaking Bad was special. I believe that Tuco's departure was actually a blessing in disguise. The death of his character ensured that it wasn't just another villain outstaying their welcome. Killing off his character earlier than expected subverted expectations of the viewer and made the audience more engaged in the story than they already were. If you are a TV aficionado, you'll know that it's commonplace to kill off a big villain in the season finale, or maybe the mid-season finale. They killed off Tuco in the second episode of a season. I actually think it allowed breathing space for the characters of Walt and Jesse to develop before the infamous Gustavo Fring arrived. The original plan was to keep Tuco alive towards the end of Season 2, which makes me believe it would have been right around the time that Gus was introduced that Tuco would have died. Tuco's departure gave space for character growth before another villain was immediately dumped right on top of them. It allowed for more focus on Jesse and Jane's love story, something that is still talked about today in pop culture. I'd hate to think that Jesse and Jane's arc would be drowned out in a story that was dragged out, so I think the right decision was made. Jesse's character was completely enriched by that storyline, and I'm glad it got as much focus as it did. On the other hand, the slow build to the plane crash at the end of the season allowed for more focus on Walt and how dangerous he was becoming. I have no doubt in my mind that they would have showed that in a rivalry with Tuco, but if you remove Tuco from the situation, this allowed the writers to make Walt's character feel increasingly more threatening without a bigger threat in sight. Like he said in a later season, he was the danger. With all of that said, I truly believe Tuco's character being killed off earlier was a blessing in disguise. Space for more character growth for Walt and Jesse was provided, and Raymond Cruz had been around long enough to leave a huge mark on the series as a villain who'll never be forgotten. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and if you could hit the like button, that really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm as a new creator. If you also enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. I've got a current goal of 3,000 subscribers, so that would mean a lot to me. I'll be doing more essays and analysis videos on different TV shows, and the comment section is always open for any kind of suggestion for future content that you may want to see. Breaking Bad is truly one of my favourite shows, and I could talk about it all day every day, so it's really been a pleasure. But until next time, please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that wonderful stuff. But until your next video, I've been Tom, you've been super, good night.